clearly we're looking at a little Slayer match here on Bazaar, one of our new maps. There's a lot to take in, I'm sure, for viewers who are just seeing a lot of stuff for the first time here.
Yeah, I can't remember if we've shown things like the Pulse Carbine being used in first person. I think it was briefly shown in the multiplayer trailer, and I think this is the first time we've shown first-person view of someone walking around in Bazaar.
I think it has. We're also right now kind of getting a look at the friend and foe system that we've discussed in some of our blogs in the past. This is kind of moving away from forcing players into red and blue, allows us to kind of maintain that unique armor customization that's become a greater focal point for Halo Infinite.
Yeah, and I think this is a pretty good example of that, and I think you're really seeing those colors pop out on the Xbox One hardware. It's great.
I think I just noticed a custom skin applied to that AR there that we saw briefly.
I missed it, unfortunately. I do love the... Oh, yeah. I love the AR skins. It's kind of nice being able to customize your starting weapon. It's the one you're going to see most often, so I like to have mine looking sharp.
Now, internally, from a development and playtest perspective, I mean, obviously we've got the teams focusing on all platforms and all builds, and safe to say that we've got folks truly getting sweaty on Durango, on Xbox Series X and S, and low, medium, and high PC specs as well, right?
Yeah, so obviously, as I said before, we can't cover every PC spec out there, but we try to have a good range within our testing, and we have folks playing on Xbox Ones regularly, myself included. I try and playtest on Xbox One as much as possible, because it's a really important thing for us to support and make sure it's looking good.
Yeah, it really is awesome that we're able to kind of bring that audience forward with us, right? I mean, we know there's obviously a large amount of Xbox One players out there, especially as, you know, frankly, some people I think are still eager to acquire a new console, and with some of the supply chain issues that have come around during the pandemic, not necessarily easy for everyone. So, you know, thankfully I'm not one of the engineers. I can't imagine it's necessarily a trivial undertaking to be able to scale so smartly across different hardware, but I gotta say, shaping up super, super nice, and really looking forward to getting some feedback from Xbox One players after this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's gonna wrap up that clip that we have. Now we're gonna show a little more gameplay here in a bit. We're gonna have Tom French, our multiplayer associate creative director, join us. We have another match from Xbox Series X that we're going to get into. But once this wraps up, we're going to jump back over to the build, and we're going to look through this real flight build here. By the way, the customized menu here up at the top. Jerry, I thought we might just kind of run through a few of these things, and then we'll kind of just navigate through the world of customization as it exists in this build, which, as you already noted, is just a subset of what we can expect to find in the shipping game. So I think we'll just go down the list here. People are probably very eager, I assume. They've never seen this. By the way, I do like this idle animation. You let it sit, and it just kind of cycles through some really cool sort of 3D assets.
Yeah.
Which is just nice.
The other cool thing is, like, you just pop into customization. You already know we're doing a lot more. And, you know, it's great to hear Sam and you notice some of the customization that's going on with bots and in your own hands with, you know, with your AR. That's all in the game for people to play with.
All right, well, let's start by going in the armor hall, and then we're just going to kind of quickly move through here, and then we'll kind of bounce around like you and I discussed. So armor hall, pretty self-explanatory. This is where I'm going to customize my Spartan's armor, right? So right away, here we go. Now for this tech preview, because it's a subset, I'm going to have one armor core, and that's going to be my Mark 7 armor core. And, you know, Jerry, you and I have discussed this a little bit. Just there's been a lot of questions, I think, in the community since we first started talking about armor cores, right? And we've demonstrated this and sort of showed it off in our old overview video and some prior blogs. So how would you sort of best describe, like, what is an armor core and sort of how should we think about that?
Yeah, so this is one of our new systems. So Christopher Blum and Jeremy have done a really great job here creating this system. You know, one of the things when we stepped back in design, we wanted to rethink how do we help make sure that our players are really represented as characters. And when you take a look at Spartan armor, it's like strapping on an F-22, or maybe you want a set of armor that is like an M1 Abrams tank, right? Each one of those vehicles is unique and has a unique character. The other great thing about that, the thing we're trying to build is we're trying to make sure that the character of that armor really comes through. There's really no better way to show this than, hey, Josh, you have one of the pictures, one of the concept pictures? Yeah. Okay. So
This is
You can go
awesome, by
back,
the
Josh.
way. I'm super excited by the Yoroi Samurai in particular, which, by the way, we've also confirmed will be one of the first free pieces of content that players can earn in Season 1 by just completing a free event, which is
Yeah,
very cool.
absolutely. And again, that type of completion where just playing the game and earning things is still a part of not only our DNA, but again, from a free-to-play game, we want to make sure that we provide multiple avenues, not just the battle pass, but you have different ways, and we'll show that as we go forward, different ways in which you can earn things.
Yeah, right now I'm just kind of cycling through the weapon bench just to give give our viewers a sense of what that looks like. So, if I were to equip weapon coatings, I could check them out here. I'm just sort of scrolling through, giving people a chance to see some of the weapons that we have in the game currently that they'll be able to check out. So I really love this feature.
This is so sweet because every time you pick up a weapon, right, you take it off the weapon pad. It is your weapon, and it'll be skinned the way you want it to. It'll look the way you want it to. It is just a sweet feeling.
Let's quickly jump into vehicle bay. I mean, one quick caveat here is none of the experiences in this tech preview build will let you drive vehicles this time around. But of course, vehicles are an integral part of our sandbox, huge part of the experience, especially with the return of big team battle.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to that a little bit later this year. But I'll just kind of give people a quick glimpse here of some of the updated models, some of these things we're seeing for the first time, I believe.
Yeah, and again, for what we're showing here from a customization perspective, you make this you. So you get to say, hey, look, no, when I drive my Warthog or when I get on my Razorback with my team, I'm the driver. I get into it first. It's going to look the way that I want it to look like. And so as you continue to play and you're in the community, you're going to have different looks from players, and everyone will know like it is you in the driver's seat.
All right, then I'm going to jump down one more real quick here in the body and AI. This one, we obviously have a couple different body types I can choose from. I really love actually the depth that we've been able to go to now for prosthetics, right? Just an additional layer of customization and, frankly, inclusivity as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the biggest thing is just about, from a philosophy perspective for player first is we want everyone to be able to represent themselves. My sisters actually does build prosthetics for a living, and this is very important as it's a part of your identity. It's also, quite frankly, some of it's really cool. And again, we're only showing a very small subset, so don't get lost in that. But the sheer fact that you can do your entire body the way you want to from a prosthetic perspective and really make this your identity is really, really critical for us.
So personal AI is another new addition to the game. We introduced this. People heard some personal AI in the MP trailer, for example.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people out there that became instant fans of Lumu, for example. And I think, we'll talk more about this probably with Tom French in a bit, and we'll see it in action in some of our additional footage. But, this is just a subset, right? So
and it's also just the beginning. Like this is the biggest thing. We have so many things in which you can really express yourself, the way you want to, and even your AI sidekick, it's yours to express. Like it's yours to make yours. And I think the cool thing is that when you see Tom talk about it, and you see the modes you're going to use it in, it really becomes a part of the personality that you bring to the field.
Yeah, and each AI here, for example, has their own unique voice, their own unique personality. Yep. It's really fun, and then you can go one step further if you want to, and actually even a subset of colors as well. So personal AIs are one of my favorite additions to the game currently, and I can't wait for players to experience more of that. And then we have one more grayed out area here, and this is where I'd be able to do stuff like my service tag and emblem, and I think you've alluded to there's more coming than what's in this build, so we want people to stay tuned. Now I think let's quickly. I want to keep things moving here because I know folks are eager. We got a lot to get through. How about you want to jump over to the battle pass?
Yeah, let's do that.
Maybe we'll switch. Josh, why don't we jump over to Jerry? He'll drive us through, and let's just talk a little bit about what we're designating the Season 0 Battle Pass, and sort of what that's going to be for players in this technical preview.
Yeah, so when we take a look at ourselves learning as a team, the reason why we want to do Season 0 is, like the rest of our live experience, our team needs to build the muscle of listening to the players, of providing fixes, really going through even veteran people who've worked on games, game developers. When they go through a service, every game is different, every team is different, and it takes a lot of muscle building to really get into the rhythm for your teams to be able to add to the game. And so what we hope to hear from on the technical preview side is, again, what's working for you, what's not working for you, what don't you like. Remember, the build is old, so don't treat it as if it's final at all. So as we go into these details, just remember, just send us your feedback. Give us the details that you want to see or improve on. And we won't, again, because we're a few months from launch, we won't necessarily be able to fix everything for launch, but we'll start adding lists together. First thing I want to talk about from a Battle Pass perspective is our challenges. Our challenge system is the cornerstone. It is the underlying thing in which we go. Now, everyone's familiar with these. We've done a little bit different. This is where you start seeing the first rewards that you get outside of the pass. So we know, right? Games are a bit different today than they were back in the day. In fact, back in the day, most people only had 2 to 3 games a year that they even looked at. Today, I bet you most of your Steam libraries are much larger than that. And that means players are going from Sea of Thieves, or they're jumping over to Age of Empires, and then they're coming into Halo as well. And we want to make sure that when you sit down, you don't have to absorb an entire battle pass to say, what are my rewards? You can literally just come in, what are the challenges? I'm going to go play my games with my friends, and I'm going to get rewarded for it. That's pretty critical for us from a player first perspective. And then, of course, you're going to get people like me. I'm going to sometimes get sniper challenges. Now, I'm not Clutch in any way, shape, or form, or Micwin or any other pro team. I will skip that challenge. So I'll definitely probably swap that for sure. And I'll want to make sure that I don't have to do that, because I'm not good at it at all. So let's look at the Battle Pass. So we're going to buy this? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, we granted you. You're just like a real tech preview participant.
Right, so
we have given you some money, Jerry.
All right, good. I get paid today. Sweet. All right. Sweet. Got the pass. We're ready to go. So, as you can see, I bought it, so now you can't see the free labels. Shoot.
Oh
well.
Yeah, well, you're right. What we're not seeing is a smattering of objects in this pass are free, right? So.
Correct.
Even if someone doesn't want to opt into the optional pass in the real game, there will still be a free track and things to earn along the way.
Yeah, the main thing you think of from a model that we have is every tier there's a free item and a premium item, and that means that every single player, instead of having, most systems you have large swaths of the tiers that aren't earned unless you're premium. For us, we want you to earn every step of the way, and for the preview. We're only having 20 levels in the preview to be able to go after. And so obviously at launch we'll have much larger. We're not going to talk about that too much, but the great thing you're seeing here is you're seeing customization all along the way. Do you want to go to yours?
Yeah, we can. Josh, you want to jump back over to mine, because I had some development cheats enabled, so I've got everything already unlocked. Actually, Josh, switch back over to my feed there. There we go. So now that we have that context, Jerry, of kind of sort of where this content's going to come from, I'm back in the armor hall. I've just kind of drilled now into this. This is what happens if I click in on my core, right? So we don't need to go through all this. I know folks are probably eager to see some more gameplay. We want to talk about bots and arena as well, but this is where I would apply my coatings, for example. Some of these coatings I'm going to earn. We saw the Keystone coating as a challenge reward, for example. So this is just a taste of kind of what I'll be able to do. I can't wait to see how players in the tech preview. I would hope a lot of people are probably going to easily hit tier 20 and max out.
Yeah.
If not,
that's our hope.
What are you doing? You've had this long to prepare. Like, come on, you've waited for this. We need you.
Just be good.
Go crazy. But yes, this is just to give you an idea. As I unlock my content for the core, this is where I'm going to go in and be able to customize that.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to you the other day, but funny fact, someone pointed out to me that if you want to, I think for the first time in a Halo game, you can have no shoulder pads, which, hey, if that's your fancy, go for it. So lots of different options here, and
and this is like, you're not seeing things in here like armor effects or other categories that we have listed here. For the tech preview, it's really small, and so we tried to keep it basically the baseline pieces. Actually, let's talk about armor kit for a little bit. Because I don't think this is really fully supported in this build, though. Yeah, so when we talk about specifically from a pillar perspective of continuing the story, the armor kit kind of represents a bunch of that story. And so when you see the season, and when we say story, We mean the continuing story of the universe from after you, when you're in campaign as Master Chief. What are the rest of the Spartans doing? You are a Spartan, and so your story belongs here too. But it's also a place in which you can show iconic characters within the Halo universe. And so a kit, for example, you might get, I don't know, George or Emil, and that is an entire kit unto itself. And so you want to, like, you actually want to go fly the, you know, do your battles on the battlefield like George. That's where you would go to get that kit.
Well, Jerry, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I think there's still a ton of fun content in here for insiders this weekend to experiment with, unlock, explore. It's a slice, right? So I would expect more weapon drills. So, you know, I don't know like what fans would be most interested in seeing. I'm going to guess they probably don't need to see an AR weapon drill, right? So let's do something a little more exotic.
Yeah.
Now, I might do this because this is one of my personal favorite new additions to the game.
Sure.
This thing is a beast.
It is a beast.
It sounds awesome. It feels awesome. And real quick, Tom, how would you want viewers to understand sort of, I got 3 options here for my weapon drill.
So there's 3 tiers of weapon drills, and the basic one is static bots, and they'll just stand there, kind of just let you get the hands on the gun, right? Shoot the basic targets, and it'll score you on your performance and kind of give you a grade so you understand how well you're using with that gun. The next tier, they're kind of on more just like kind of simple paths or crouching behind cover and things like that to kind of show you how to use the weapon, get you to move to that next tier of how do you track a target across the screen. And then the third tier is more, they actually are doing combat behaviors. They're not firing back at you, but they're running around and they're ducking, and they're a lot less predictable. And so they're kind of harder to track. They're kind of using more of the actual bot behaviors and mentality. So
I guess I'll split the difference and go, I'll go like a tier 2 here, right?
Okay.
I mean, don't judge.
let's see how you score.
Don't judge.
Right.
There's a lot of pressure here. And I mean, safe to say there's been a lot of internal trash talking as well, right?
Yeah, we trash talk a lot, especially about scores. Like, I mean, you know, we're a competitive team at our core, so that's what you have to do.
You know, and speaking of, too, I think there is a cool, not only is this a learning module in a lot of ways, but there is a competitive angle to it. And, you know, I think safe to say down the road, the team's thinking about possibility of things like leaderboards and kind of how do we really bring that gamification competitive element to this.
Yeah, that was something that we really wanted in the core design, and just, you know, it just didn't fit into the schedule. So we're just building this kind of as a platform for how we can add more over time.
Okay, here we go. Not doing good. By the way, that's something our fans noticed right there. We have damage per sort of location-specific visual indicators on damage, right?
Yeah, it's really helpful, right? It really helps just that pop where you're hitting.
Look at that! I choked right there. Now, are you a feather the trigger person with this weapon, or do you just sort of pray and spray?
I'll just be honest, I'm hot garbage with this gun. That's first and foremost my problem. I'm trying to get better with it. I kind of use it as like an automatic, but when I'm kind of at range, I'll switch to kind of the feathering.
Oh, no.
Oh man, that pillar got in your way.
That was not a great performance.
Terrible.
2-star. I mean,
terrible.
I think there is a bonus for like a quick reaction, right? Like if I were to quickly zoom in on the target right when it appears, I think I might get an extra.
I think there's
points
extra
for that,
little
right?
bonus points and little twists around it. So
All right, I want to put you on the spot now.
Okay.
We're going to switch over to your point of view. So So first of all,
right.
going for the
Should
controller,
go.
right? Because we
Probably pick
support
that up.
mouse and keyboard or controller. Doesn't
I'm
matter.
a controller guy.
Whatever suits your fancy. Tom, I am hearing from our friends over here in the room that it sounds like chat is unsurprisingly very interested in seeing the BR.
You know, I think that's expected. Let's bring up the BR then. Let's see how. I mean, I'm okay with
I do
this.
like where you're going with the more exotic weapons, though. So maybe we just kind of break the rules and squeeze in a third game.
We'll squeeze in another
okay.
one. I'll try to go the third tier, so people can see kind of the different behaviors. And so you see there were kind of more bouncing targets in what you were doing. So you'll see this. They should take a little more cover and stuff. But yeah, obviously a fan favorite weapon. I'm really nervous how well I'm going to score. Let's see.
Well, at least we're picking different weapons, so we're not really like we can't really compare each other against each other, right? So
yeah, people are already making fun of me in the stream. I can see it, or imagine at least. I'm really terrible about managing my reloads. I'm like an incessant reloader.
Yep.
See there, I probably shouldn't have reloaded right there.
Well, it's when we're missing shots like you and I do, it makes it a little hard to be predictable on that reload.
I know.
Too,
I
right?
really feel like it's part of my job to get better at this, and I'm trying, and I am getting better. I'm a little more better at like BTB is kind of my brag. But you can see they're kind of dancing around a little bit. They're strafing more. They're not just bounce patterns. I'm hitting headshots at least.
Yeah. You almost got this.
Crap reload.
Time's up. think that's a pretty good score. Well, it's a new high score compared to whoever else played on this build.
I think nobody. So all right,
Yeah.
so I hit tier 2, so rank 2. So yeah, so you can see like we're trying to kind of give you some grading so you can understand your skill level and like how you can get better, or a little bit like kind of encouraging you to get better, so you can understand where you're meeting.
All right, I think we're getting the request. Let's maybe if I get at least one more.
Right.
You want to play one more since you're already in? Why don't you do it? I'll put you on the
okay,
spot.
I'll do it.
So I'm hearing that there's a lot of interest in the heat wave. This
All
is I don't think we've really seen or shown this really to date. So this
Okay.
is obviously new and exciting. A little bit unconventional, right? A little bit different.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it has an alt fire, which is cool. It's something that's kind of new to Halo. I know Quinn and his team was really proud of that. And kind of how do we introducing this kind of concept into the game, and how can we use this kind of more in the game. This weapon's really fun, and the two alt modes, or the two modes, are basically vertical and horizontal fire. I can't remember how this drill performs, so see, one of the things cool about the drills is they're trying to do behaviors that actually encourage you to use the weapon correctly. So like these two were bouncing near each other, and so you can get a more optimal like kind of horizontal shot.
Yeah, and I know folks notice it's pretty nuanced
venting.
there, but I think you're using your left trigger to sort of swap between those two different
Yeah, the
firing
two modes,
right?
okay.
Yep.
All right, get together, boys. Thank
Oh,
you.
and this will penetrate,
oh.
right? So you
Yeah,
can line
it
guys up and just take them all.
Oh,
Very
that
cool.
Last shot sucked. There we go. Oh. I'm
It's-
definitely not managing my reload. I feel like I have more time in the game, right? Like when you're in a match, you like hide behind cover, but this is definitely that like kind of stressful, which is in a good way. Like it helps you get better by, going through the repetitions and the drills.
Well, the world watching doesn't probably help
Yeah, it
either.
doesn't help. I think I'm more nervous about you just giving me shit after. Oops.
We're fine. That's all right. We ran the ESRB up front.
thank
We're
you.
good.
Oh, that's
We're good.
good.
We said
I can't help it.
content may not be
I
suitable
got
for
three.
all audiences. Look at you, man.
did all right. I
You're
did all
sandbagging
right.
us here. 3-star. You're a master. So
Maybe
that's
we
the
haven't
heat
tuned
wave.
those scores yet, so maybe
We're not
we
going to
can
go
do
through every weapon drill, but when the tech build goes out tomorrow, the
Slay them all, Spartan.
All right, yeah, I think this is a pro team POV.
well, let's see how good they are. Right off the bat, going for
So
the
he's
heat
got the heat wave, right?
Yep.
So he switched the vert. So there's
Steitzer.
Stites. It's good to have Steitzer back, or we call it. There's some nickname of Stitesy is kind of the people implementing the VO. They threw down a shield, covered the position.
Yeah, I like that little peek technique. I haven't personally done that, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot by watching this pro team video actually, and how to play it. Like we watch them, we have regular weekly play tests with them. I don't play with them generally because they're so good, and we put our kind of better players up against them.
Also noticed that player went straight for the power weapon that spawns on this map in Slayer, which is hard for me to use, if I'm being honest.
So you'll see, so you can see the friend foe. That's one of the obvious things you're looking at here. I know Sam was talking about it earlier. It's something that we've continued to kind of iterate and evolve, even beyond this build. I think this might be our main build right now. There's power weapon spawns there.
Skewer is it's satisfying as heck, but it's hard for me to use.
I am worse at that gun than I am with the commando rifle for sure. When you hit a target, like especially a vehicle, it's super satisfying. All right, so he was spectating. He missed the neutral.
Tried for it.
Tried for it.
Grenade. Successful.
Hard for us to hear in studio, but I believe you'll hear some personal AI coming through.
Yeah, you're hearing. There's a few things. So there's the Spartan chatter that we had in Halo 5. It really just kind of brings the battlefield, gives a lot more like reaction feedback to what's going on in the game. But you'll hear this personal AI, and what we did with them is we replaced what was called Spartan Leader, our team leader, and it's just a more personal version of that, and they have a lot of personality, and so it lets you kind of swap around and kind of customize that feedback, and they give you a lot of low-level fit. Pulled the power up.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, that's a change, right? It doesn't activate on pickup anymore. You can hold on to it.
Yeah, we think that'll bring a lot in the long term and allow us to do more things with power-ups than kind of just, traditional kind of just quick stat kind of reflections, but having like really the notion of power equipment in the game.
One thing that we won't see from as in this point of view, I really love the visual language that you and the team have introduced. It's very obvious when someone's pocketing a power-up like that. You'll see a glowing trail
Yeah, there's
behind
like a
them.
contrail behind them. Yeah, that was a big thing, is making sure we at least telegraphed that information. That was, you know, making that switch. There was a lot of critical lenses on making sure that there was at least a readability to it in the gameplay.
I mean, so now it's sort of that risk-reward, right? Do I hold this and wait for that final push? Do I burn it now so I don't lose it?
Yeah, you make a lot of choices that way. Like I sometimes will pocket it and think I'm getting cocky, and then I'll lose it, and I'll give like overshow. That was a dope. I'll give the OS to the enemy, which is, you know, super risky at that point.
We're seeing a couple of the little sort of, what do we call those, tutorial tips popping up there, which
Yeah.
you can turn off in the settings.
Yeah, you can
right?
turn them off, but on they're death tips is what we call them. But yeah, giving a little bit of feedback, you know, about the type of weapon that killed you, or like how you can respond better to it.
I'm not sure at this point the pro team needs to know that, like, hey,
Yeah, exactly. Or like just opt out if you don't really care about it, if you don't need that information, or it makes you feel bad, as some people might feel.
I do love this map.
Yeah, the pelicans flying by. It's the, you know, it's an homage to Sergeant Avery Johnson Academy of. So it's kind of cool just to kind of pay homage to, like, you know, one of ours and everybody's favorite character in the side of the Halo canon.
By the way, whoever this player is just getting active camo every spawn. I don't know what the other team's up to right now.
Seems to be watching that call out. Yeah, the power ups, we treat those like, you know, like the power weapons and stuff. They're up on a pad. They have a lot of messaging and broadcasting about them, so you know when they're coming up.
Now your Spartan AI will tell you that, right?
Yeah, the Spartan AI calls it out as well. So there's a lot of information just kind of driving feedback. You get the stick there. You can see, like, there's the weapon racks you'll see in the levels as well. He ran past one a second ago.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
back
it's in
there
the background, right?
Yep.
What's cool about them is, like, you know, before you might run past where a weapon would spawn and then not realize that it's coming up in 2 seconds, and it could change your choice and like how you deal with it. Like when we playtest this morning, I actually stopped at one point on a weapon rack because I was like, oh, it's like 2 seconds out. I might as well wait for it and switch out my pistol, which I think I'm just telling everybody that I'm really bad with a lot of the guns in our game.
Watch my back.
That was nice.
I do love the sidekick.
It's really cool, and like when somebody's really good with it, it's really threatening because they can just feather that thing super fast and just crack
This
people.
player really likes this little like drop wall kind of
Covering a
technique,
post,
huh?
yeah. And, like kind of locking down an entryway so they can watch their backs. It's neat to watch how people use these, like all the different equipments in different ways.
Spike obtained.
Well, hopefully a lot of players this weekend are going to be lighting us up on social, sharing clips with us, because I can't wait to see just some of the new creative ways that the community at large figures out how to use this new sandbox.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like, I mean, like the way we have our maps tuned, like in our main builds, is they have different equipment and stuff on them, and because we don't have the entire sandbox in the flights, is we swap things out. So it's actually not even the same kind of, basically, map placement path that we would have in the released version of the game. But we, you know, it just at least gives us something so we can get something in there for people to play with. Oh, match is getting close. You can hear the music starting to kick up, kind of signifying the end of the match is coming.
I do love that. The multiplayer music, very cool.
I'm really proud of the multiplayer music. There's a cool story about how we got to basically getting the music in the game. But it really meets this tone. It's something I've really wanted since Halo 4. Was this kind of post-rock soundtrack to the multiplayer. Well, actually just a Halo, but it became one of my goals for multiplayer.
Taking damage.
Last kill.
Lost a teammate.
5 minutes remaining.
Cool.
In my sights.
Victory.
Kill's got some drama.